In this lesson, I'm going to be talking about the personal a in Spanish. It's something that appears all through the Spanish language, and it occasionally gives English speakers some trouble because we don't translate it into English and we don't have anything that's really the equivalent in our own language. So we just have to learn when to use it and remember to pop it in. That's what I'll be talking about in today's video. So the personal a, and when I'm saying that, I'm talking about the letter A that we pronounce a in Spanish. We're going to be using this when the direct object of a verb is a person or a pet. When I say the direct object, I'm talking about whoever we're talking about, not the subject of the sentence. You'll see as we start to go through these. A good verb to practice these with is ver, to see. So let's take a simple sentence. I see Juan. Veo a Juan. See that a in there? And that's because who's the subject of the sentence? I am, right? Yo veo, but I drop the yo because that's a tendency in Spanish. When it is clear from the verb conjugation or context who we're talking about, we can drop the subject. Yet the subject still exists, all right? So I'm the subject. Who do I see? Juan. Juan is the object. So if the object refers to a person or a pet, we need to pop that little a in there. That's the personal a. All right, how about this? You try this one. I see Maria. I bet you can do it. Veo a Maria. Veo a Maria. See, personal a is there. Go ahead and try this one. I see the men. Veo a los hombres. Veo a los hombres. See, still in there because the men, well, refers to people. And I see the women. Veo a las mujeres. Veo a las mujeres. Man, this isn't that tough, right? As I've repeatedly mentioned in this video, this also refers to your pets. And why? Because, you know, we consider them like people, like part of our family. So that's probably where that came from. So how about this one? I see my dog. Think you can do that one? Veo a mi perro. Veo a mi perro. See, it's still in there, personal a. But we don't use it with other animals, okay? Because, you know, they're just not that special. So if I say something like, I see two dolphins, it's just veo dos delfines. Veo dos delfines. No personal a there. So what if we see something that's an inanimate object, like I see the houses? Do we put a personal a? Of course not, right? Because it's very basic, right? People, pets. So when I want to say, I see the houses, what am I going to say? Veo las casas. Veo las casas. I see the beach. What do you got? Veo la playa. Veo la playa. Now, most students will grasp this right away. They're like, all right, I got the personal a thing. Pretty easy, right? In a simple sentence, it's going to stand out. But when the sentence gets a little bit more complex, sometimes we forget about the personal a. And we confuse it with other uses of a. I'm going to invite my brother to the party. Voy a invitar a mi hermano a la fiesta. Take a look at that thing. We've got a's all over it. Voy a invitar, right? Right away, right there. Is that a personal a? No, it's not a personal a. This is a set construction, right? We have our ir plus a plus infinitive going to do something. That's where that a came from. So let's go ahead and continue on. Voy a invitar, I'm going to invite a mi hermano, my brother. Look at, there's one a there. Is that the personal a? Yes, this is the personal a. Because your brother is the object of the sentence, and that's why it's popped in there. Let's keep going. A la fiesta, to the party. Why is that a there? Because it means to the party, right? And that's actually working with invitar. And I know that might throw some people off, but invitar uses the preposition a to invite someone to do something or to a place. Like, voy a invitarte a la fiesta. I'm going to invite you to the party. Voy a invitarte a whatever. What are we going to do? Ir a la playa. I'm going to invite you to go to the beach. Now, if you've been following my channel, you've heard me say this 100 times. It's got to be at least 100 times now. When you learn your verbs, learn them with the appropriate preposition if they tend to take a preposition, especially if that preposition doesn't necessarily appear in English. So when I teach folks, you know, the verb invitar, to invite, I say learn it this way. Invitar a, plus noun or plus verb, right? To invite to a place or to do something. If you'd like to learn a bunch of Spanish verbs with their appropriate prepositions, just check out my last video because I went through 50 of them. I even break them down by like a, con, de, you're gonna have a great time there, all right? Just check that out. Now, many YouTubers who teach Spanish and even some professors would stop right here and just be like, there you go, there's the personal a. If the object refers to a person or a pet, pop it in. But I'm not gonna stop there. And that's because there are nuances to the personal a and times where you're gonna see verbs and it's not used. And if I stopped the lesson right there and you came across one of those, you're gonna be like, huh, either that's wrong or Paul's wrong. Which is it? So I'm going to talk about those things. All right, so I'm going to be talking about the personal a with non-specific or indefinite persons. These will often follow these verbs in particular. Buscar, to look for, encontrar, to find, necesitar, to need, and contratar, to hire. Now here's the general rule for this. When these verbs refer to a non-specific person, an unknown person, the personal a is actually optional and is often omitted. That's why sometimes you'll see it and sometimes you won't. However, if you're referring to a specific person, the personal a must be there. It is required. Here's some examples of what I'm talking about. Non-specific persons, right? No personal a, or at least optional. Buscamos un profesor. We're looking for a professor, right? Any teacher, a non-specific teacher. I'm not talking about a specific person. That personal a is optional and is often not there. Buscamos un profesor. We need employees. Necesitamos empleados. Necesitamos empleados. Personal a is optional and often omitted. I want to hire a secretary. I'm not talking about anybody specific, so I could just say, Quiero contratar una secretaria. Let's compare that to using those same verbs with specific people. Remember, we're talking about specific people. The personal a is mandatory. It has to be there, folks. Has to be there. I'm looking for a professor that I know. See, I'm still saying a professor, but I'm talking about a specific person. Estoy buscando a un profesor que conozco. See that a's in there. Estoy buscando a un profesor que conozco. A specific person, right? How about this one? We need the employees that know the system. We're talking about specific people here, right? So personal has to be there. Necesitamos a los empleados que conocen el sistema. So you think you got that? Starting to see how all this works together? Now I'm going to talk about another little caveat or exception here, whatever you want to call it, and that is with someone, alguien, and no one, nadie. These most often take the personal a, although there are some grammatical guides that are very respected that say it's still optional in this case, and perhaps it is, but I'm going to tell you the tendency is to leave them in. Do you know anyone or someone, right, that's what we're talking about, alguien, that knows how to cook? ¿Conoces a alguien que sepa cocinar? See, it's still in there. It kind of blends together, so it might just sound like conoces a alguien, but it's in there. Conoces a alguien. And that's when we could answer, no, I don't know anyone who knows how to cook. And that's when we're going to use that other word, nadie, nadie. No, no conozco a nadie que sepa cocinar. No, I don't know anyone who knows how to cook. And in case you're wondering what that sepa is, that actually comes from the verb saber, which means to know, and that is going to be in the present subjunctive mood. I'm a big fan of the subjunctive. I think it is the keystone of learning Spanish. I haven't said that in a while in one of my videos. And if you want to learn all about the subjunctive, just go to my main channel on YouTube, look at our playlists, and click on Subjunctive Triggers playlist and just binge watch it. You're going to learn all about it, all right? Next thing I want to talk about is the personal a with the verb tener, which means to have, because it works a little bit differently here. I'm going to tell you that generally speaking, if you just have to remember one pattern, tener does not generally take the personal a. I have 2 children. Tengo dos hijos. Not tengo a dos hijos. No. Tengo dos hijos. I have a wife. Tengo esposa. I have a dog. Tengo un perro, right? Even though mi perro, that's my pet, he's my buddy, he's part of the family. No personal a because we're using the verb tener, to have. Now I will tell you there are some exceptions when you will use a personal a with tener, but it actually changes the meaning of it a bit. And it's going to be more like to have someone like in some certain state or position. Tengo a mi tío como fijador. I have my uncle as a guarantor, like in the position of a guarantor. Well, that's an overview of the personal a. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up because it helps with that whole YouTube algorithm thing. And if you're looking for some more content than just what I have here, you might want to pop over to my Qroo Spanish crew. I'm doing a ton of stuff over there with my members. Have a great time. I have a lot of interaction with them. I answer questions. We have a lot of exclusive videos over there and worksheets you can download. One thing I'm working on over there is my Spanish Master course, which is going to replace Cero de Conversational. I personally think it is much better. So if you're a beginner in Spanish and you want to advance very quickly, I suggest popping over to the Qroo and checking that out. I'm adding new lessons on a regular basis, and it is my priority. I mean, I'm cranking these things out. So I hope to see you there.